listening to the GWP Thanksgiving Day Special. I'm your host, Isaac Hedges, joined by co-host Jacob Coleman. What do you have for us today, Jake?
Today we'll be discussing the history of Thanksgiving and going over some details about how people in America celebrate this holiday.
Alright, well, let's get right into it.
Yeah, we most certainly will. We're going to start off with our friend from the last episode.
Yes, I heard we have another visit.
Yes.
From a special guest from a previous episode. So let's bring him on and hear what he has to say.
Yeah, first, so we'll get kind of the Cliff Notes version of the history of Thanksgiving from Chat GPT, and then we'll discuss the history ourselves.
Right.
Probably with a little bit more information than what Chat GPT has to offer.
Hopefully he didn't hear that part. Wrong one.
That is the wrong one, isn't it?
It's the white one.
So, Chat GPT, can you tell us a little bit about the history of Thanksgiving?
Of course. Thanksgiving has a long history, starting with the Pilgrims and Native Americans in 1621. They shared a feast in Plymouth, Massachusetts to celebrate a successful harvest. This event, often called the First Thanksgiving, wasn't initially an official holiday, but it became a tradition over time. Thanksgiving became a national holiday much later, in 1863, when President Abraham Lincoln declared it a day of thanksgiving and praise during the Civil War, hoping to unite the country. It's celebrated on the fourth Thursday of November in the US, and over the years it's evolved into a day for feasting, giving thanks, and spending time with loved ones.
All right. Thank you very much, ChatGPT, for giving us a little bit of the history behind Thanksgiving. But I think that we should go ahead and give a little bit more information than maybe what was just provided.
All right.
So, want to start us off, Isaac?
Absolutely. Yeah, so Thanksgiving, as our friend Mr. ChatGPT just said, it celebrates the success of the first Plymouth colony. It was Thanksgiving, so went through a fair bit of difficulty, celebrated that success. The Pilgrims had a feast, and that is what the holiday of Thanksgiving is based on. Anything you'd add to that, Jake?
Well, I think it's important to realize that when it first came around was 1621.
Right, 1621.
But of course it didn't actually,
right,
come
wasn't
to
yet
be
an
until
official holiday.
Yes. So, yeah. But so here's something else that you might not have known. In 1817, New York became the first of several states to officially adopt an annual Thanksgiving holiday.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a few states that tried to get it going, but of course, as we heard, Abraham Lincoln had a really huge part in it later on, making it making it a national level. But many states made it to where, on a state level, that Thanksgiving was to be celebrated in the early 1800s.
Mm-hmm. Right. So it's been celebrated for some time, but hasn't necessarily been a national holiday all along. That's something that a lot of people don't know. Any other details you might add about Thanksgiving?
Well, so here's some other information that I went ahead and got from some of our sources that we're using here. In 1827, the noted magazine editor and prolific writer Sarah Josephine Hale, author, among countless other things, of the nursery rhyme Mary Had a Little Lamb, launched a campaign to establish Thanksgiving as a national holiday. So eventually, Abraham Lincoln finally heard the request and went through with it in 1863 at the height of the Civil War in a proclamation entreating all Americans to ask God to command to his tender care all those who had become widows, orphans, mourners, or sufferers in the lamentable civil strife, and to heal the wounds of the nation. That is, quote, what he said. Abraham Lincoln, that was. And then he scheduled for the first Thanksgiving for the final Thursday in November, and it was celebrated on that day until 1939, when Franklin D. Roosevelt moved the holiday up a week in an attempt to spur retail sales during the Great Depression. Roosevelt's plan was known diversely as Franksgiving, was met with passionate opposition, and in 1941 the president reluctantly signed a bill making Thanksgiving once again the fourth week in November.
Very nice.
So, but I think, as most people know, things have changed quite a bit since then. Thanksgiving has grown into a much bigger holiday across America,
Right.
including some important traditions.
Mm-hmm.
So, you have any of those traditions?
Well, nothing terribly out of the ordinary. I know it's a common one, just getting together with family, having a Thanksgiving feast, turkey, and all the fixings. So, all of that stuff. One thing on the food front, I suppose it's less common, is in my mom's side of the family, who's German. We have a dish along with our Thanksgiving turkey fixings and all. It's called Niffles, and it's a sort of German dumpling. They're
Really?
excellent if you've never had them. It's similar to Riebli if you've heard of that. So probably my favorite Thanksgiving food. But any other traditions that you have, Jake? What are some that your family has?
One of the biggest ones that my family has carried on for many years is watching the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in the mornings when that has come on.
Mm-hmm.
And recently we've taken on the tradition of watching the dog show that they have, and usually watching that right before we eat Thanksgiving.
I enjoy watching both of those on that for a while.
Those have become very common. So that's a big tradition that my family usually has. We also usually put up Christmas decorations for the holidays around that time of the year as well,
Nice.
whether it be a couple days before or a couple of days after.
Very nice.
So,
and I guess another Thanksgiving tradition that my family has done for some time is a large family game of Monopoly.
oh, all right.
So it's a game that we all enjoy, and the actual businesses that it's based on. My family's been heavily involved in that. My grandfather and my father involved in real estate, and we've all, to varying degrees, had a role in helping out with the business, and so that's something that we particularly enjoy with our business background. So,
Just because of the influence that different businesses have had, of
Right.
course, and the fact that that's what the game Monopoly is about. So,
right, in particular real estate.
yes. So,
Absolutely. Well, you mentioned the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, so look forward to seeing that this year. It's funny that you mentioned that, because here in Missouri we have Blue Springs High School. That's Blue Springs, Missouri. Their marching band. They've been in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade several years, which is really something. Those are some great bands.
yeah.
What do you know about that?
Well, first off, just for anybody who doesn't live around this area that might not know, Blue Springs is a suburb that is located about southeast, about 20 to 30 minute drive away from Kansas City, suburb that's just southeast of Kansas City. And their football team has also been known to be pretty successful with them winning and stuff like that.
Great football team as well.
Yes, a really great school if you visit it. Really great campus that they have for the school district, I would say. But yes, they've been their band has marched in it now for several years in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and they represent the state of Missouri very well from what I've seen.
They do. I have several friends who go to school there.
You know any of them who've actually been to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade?
I'm not 100% sure, but that would be a great question for them.
Yeah.
Well,
That would be pretty cool, I would imagine, to be a part of Blue Springs, and you go up there multiple times into the Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah.
Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade?
Well, we already touched this a bit when we talk about traditions, I guess, because we've got nothing better to talk about on that front. But as far as food goes, what are your favorite Thanksgiving foods?
Oh, so are we talking actual foods, like as in, like main courses, or are we talking like desserts?
Well, I was thinking more, food versus non-food, like vinyl siding. That's an excellent one. So,
What? For
well,
what?
of course. Anyway, yes, of course we're talking about food items, and that can include desserts. And if you'd like, you can have like a favorite main course, sides, desserts, and all the rest. What are yours?
As far as desserts go.
Sure, we can start there. What's your favorite Thanksgiving dessert?
Well, I'd say pumpkin pie.
Pumpkin pie.
What would you
That's
say
an
yours
excellent
is?
one. Well, I don't know. My favorite dessert of all time is apple pie, but I really enjoy pumpkin pie as well.
Yeah. Have you ever made an apple pumpkin pie before?
I have not. Have you?
I have not either, but I think that would be really cool
That
since you
would
like
be
both
interesting.
apple and pumpkin. It would be interesting to combine both of them.
Absolutely.
I think it could be done, right?
Yeah.
So, that's the other thing is Thanksgiving food does have a major part in the holiday. In many American households, the Thanksgiving celebration has lost much of its religious significance and instead centers now more on cooking and sharing a bountiful meal with family and friends. Turkey, a Thanksgiving staple that was actually offered back, in the 1621 first
the original
Thanksgiving. Yeah, the original Thanksgiving had turkey. But I also know that ham has now become a very common food item at the Thanksgiving Day table.
That's another popular one. And it's funny that you mentioned that between ham and turkey, Jake, because we recently sent out a survey to some of our viewers, actually quite a few of our viewers, a good sized sample, and by close margin, though it be a slim one indeed, they preferred ham. And it's my understanding that you're a turkey guy.
I am, and so what ended up happening is it was actually so close to the point when we pulled up the results for the final tally, like everybody had filled out their form, and we were at the final tally, it said 50%, 50%, so it was totally dead even, and so we actually had to go into our, so this was done at the high school that we go to here at the Nevada R5 school district, and so we went into the high school office, and I went ahead and asked many of the different people who were working in there, the administrators, and they went ahead and had to break the tie, and that's where we had ham that ended up winning that survey.
Right.
But it just shows that both are very popular and preferred among Americans across the country.
Right. But in the end, ham did take the edge. We did extend the sample size a little bit. Oh, does that bother you or something, Jake?
Well,
we probably ought to address it if it does.
Yeah. I mean, which one would you have preferred? You haven't really given any input.
Well, I tend to prefer ham.
Uh-oh, we've got it. Did you hear that? We have a ham lover on the show right now. That's not good. That also means that we're at a tie. We're deadlocked.
Right.
Well, I guess we've got to break the tie. Do you prefer turkey or ham, Chat GPT?
If I had taste buds, I'd probably be all about turkey. It's such a classic. But I hear ham can be just as irresistible with that sweet, savoury flavour. How about you? Are you team turkey or team ham for Thanksgiving?
Well, I would certainly be team turkey, so thank you very much for saying that turkey was better to break the tie.
You're welcome. Team turkey definitely has its strong points. Juicy, flavourful and perfect for leftovers.
Yes,
What's your favourite way to enjoy it? Plain with gravy or maybe a bit of both?
A little bit of both.
That's the perfect combo. Gravy really brings out the best in turkey. Do Do you like any other sides with it, like mashed potatoes or stuffing?
Sure, why not?
Sounds like a perfect plate. Mashed potatoes and stuffing are a classic pairing with turkey and gravy. Do you have any favourite desserts to finish off the meal, or is it all about the main feast for you?
Well, I guess you missed earlier when I went ahead and said pumpkin pie.
Ah, a must-have for Thanksgiving. It's the perfect sweet ending to a savoury meal. Do you like it with whipped cream, or do you keep it simple?
Oh, you can't ever keep anything simple for Thanksgiving.
True. Thanksgiving is all about going all out, especially with the food. Whipped cream, maybe even a dash of cinnamon. Why hold back, right? Anything else you're adding to...
Alright, I'm gonna have to interrupt Chat GPT because it kind of proved our point when it said that it's all about the food, nothing really else. I think that kind of proves our point about that it's lost the tradition that originally started. And that's why we're really talking about the history. It's because it's been kind of forgotten about.
Well, there's a little more nuance to that. I would still agree with you that it has lost some of its original meaning, and I don't know that that's a great thing.
I don't think it is either, because as much as it might be easy to say, oh, well, let's have an excuse just to eat a whole bunch of food, we're still losing the historical significance of why the holiday was established by Abraham Lincoln in the first place.
Right. That's why we have feast days in the first place, to celebrate some occasion. And, well, if that were just every day, if there weren't an occasion, then um, there would be no significance to it, really.
Yeah, there would be no reason to celebrate it. And if that tradition in 1620 had not, or really 1621, had not started, then we probably would not have Thanksgiving every single year.
Right. And of course, that's why here we cover the history of Thanksgiving and different things like that. Because, of course, it is significant, and we'd rather not see it fall into obscurity.
Yes, it must be reviewed.
Absolutely. Well, any other important details about Thanksgiving that we ought to share?
Yes, something that's kind of been added a little bit, and also taken away, depending on who you are. But what happens the day after Thanksgiving?
Black Friday.
Yes.
A major shopping event. All the stores tend to have sales, which I'd wager to say actually has become less than what it was, say, previous to COVID.
Yeah.
I think there are stores that actually aren't doing it since COVID. Now, there certainly are no shortage that do have Black Friday sales there. What would you say?
Yeah, I would certainly agree. I think COVID definitely took a large part of Black Friday away. I think also just because a lot of things have moved online, that aspect of it has kind of been taken away.
Right, and of course now they also do online Black Friday sales. There's a whole new audience that reaches that might not otherwise do Black Friday shopping, and Black Friday for some time has definitely had its audience. It can be a very cutthroat thing. I can't say that's something that I tend to partake in. What about you? You do the Black Friday sales?
On occasion, not a whole lot. Eventually it becomes a little bit too much. And you see people just piled on the floor. Which, by the way, if you are one of those people that would just, scrap your way to whatever is there on the shelves, I think you should reconsider that. Just saying. Just saying that there's a better way to go about that. But anyways, all of that being considered, that's actually one of the reasons why they stopped doing Black Friday. It's not because everything went to being online and because of COVID. I mean, that is certainly one of the main reasons. But I don't think some people realize the reason they've done that is because it actually became a bit dangerous in the past few years where they did it in person.
Right.
So there was people who just got trampled is what ended up happening. So
off the top of your head, are there any that you can think of, like really horrific injuries that occurred on Black Fridays?
I think I've heard of TVs. That seems to always be the one that's notorious.
Right. Someone breaking a TV and getting cut up.
Yes, or the TV collapsing like on them while they're grabbing it. So it certainly isn't good when we have like electronics involved in that. I do know that some of the heavier things like TVs, they started doing it where you have to get a piece of paper from one of the store managers before you could even touch it, so that they could avoid that. But I talked to one of the employees who was there during a couple of the Black Friday sales at Walmart, one of the employees there, and he was talking about that was one of the reasons that they went totally online. And he gave some very interesting descriptions of what happened the years in which it was in person. So,
very interesting.
So it was very detailed, and he said that there was at times where he got a little bit concerned.
Well, that said, it definitely still is a cutthroat thing, and there are probably still certain dangers that are very difficult, if possible, to mitigate. But how much would you say precautions like these actually help?
I think now that it's online, that's been taken away for the most part.
All right. And probably, since COVID's definitely been a contributing factor, and just overall things going online, that's probably helped it to scale back a little bit. But do you think it still goes on to a substantial degree?
Not as much as it was before.
Okay.
I think part of the reason that they've switched everything around is so that they can mitigate that. But one of the biggest things that's been taken away is that instead of it being just one day, because originally Black Friday was one day. In fact, some people might not even know that because it's changed so much.
Right.
People growing up in our generation, especially the future generations, they won't even ever know that it used to just be one day because now it's several weekends.
Well, I mean, I suppose it would be that difficult. It is called Black Friday, which is a day, so.
Yeah, but they might not realize that was because right now it kind of generally refers to like every Friday and thing like in November is what some of the stores use it for.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I know of at least a couple of stores that have gone to 2 or 3 Fridays, and some stores have Black Friday sales like a month before Thanksgiving. I've even seen Black Friday deals in October before, or even into December.
Well, I wasn't sure. I wasn't aware that it had gone to that extent.
Yeah, it certainly has spilled over a little bit over the years.
And I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on that. But as much as I love a good bargain, as much as the next guy, does it seem a bit excessive?
Yeah, I think it is to do all the different sales or for there to be some sort of deal that's always happening. I mean, if you go inside any type of store, have you ever walked inside of a store before and never seen something on sale?
Well, I suppose the exceptions would be like warehouse stores where the prices don't change that much, and well, it's pretty cheap overall to begin with, things like that. But speaking broadly, most retailers tend to run sales pretty regularly, and of course that's largely seasonal. Different times of year you'll find greater discounts, but it's like seldom that you'll walk in and they won't be running a single discount for your average supermarket, grocery store, big box retailer, something of that nature.
I always think it's funny when there's something that you can go in there and it's like always on sale. So then what's the original price on it if it's always on sale? Kind of takes away the purpose behind it, I feel like. So, but I think it still does have significant value the way that it is done.
Right, absolutely, and of course there's a reason for that. People see that there's a sale that'll catch their attention. Oh, I'm going to save money, and it turns out that things been on sale at the same price for the last 6 years. They think they're getting a great deal. Are they really? Well, that's another question, but trick of the trade, of course. course, and
Yeah.
people have to stay in business, and I wouldn't say that's terribly disingenuous. I feel like that's a pretty well-known practice, and at the end of the day, if they're selling it for the price that it's worth, like kind of in that range or less yet, I don't see a problem with it. What about you?
I don't think so. I do still think that I think it'd be better to go back to a 1 day sale for Black Friday. I think it got more I think it was more newsworthy since it was only 1 day out of the entire year that had all of these great deals.
Right, that would make a bit more sense from a marketing standpoint, of course, to build anticipation. More people are going to go for it if Black Friday is only 1 day a year. That said, we talked about how Black Friday can really be cutthroat and there's certain injuries that have occurred. Uh, I think that's a natural outgrowth of the building anticipation. So it could be said that a mitigating factor would be just to say have multiple Black Fridays in a year. That way, not everyone's going to the same place on one, so you're not going to have these injuries as much. And what would you say to that? Maybe that just isn't the best way to mitigate that, or even the most effective.
Yeah. Here's another idea, and this could be something that a lot of people disagree with the solution to this. You have somebody who stands on the outside of a bunch of people who surround the doors of the store, and they have a little ticker. And when you get to a certain number, you don't let certain people in, and they have to wait until other people leave.
Right.
So you kind of, there's only so many people who can actually go in there at one time.
Right, naturally.
It'd be like traffic control.
Right, the fire marshal's limit. And that's, of course, a legal limit. You get so many people in there that it's going to be a fire hazard. And that's another question that I'm not 100% sure about. Is that ordinarily observed on Black Friday, the fire marshal's limit for building capacity? Or is that maybe the 1 day a year that they kind of just turn a blind eye and they're like, oh, well, they're having a sale?
And that could be another reason why they stopped doing it. Because they were having to break some sort of rule for Black Friday. It would not surprise me if they did. But I think even making a limit that's less than the fire marshal limit would be even more ideal.
Right, how many can actually fit comfortably?
Yes. Now the real question is there really a fire marshal limit inside of stores?
There is, and they usually have that posted somewhere in the store. A lot of restaurants have that posted somewhere in the store.
Yeah, I see it in restaurants more frequently, but...
But I believe that's a requirement for commercial buildings.
Yeah.
Maybe
How often do you think they go over and don't even realize it? Like in a store where you have so many different people, like a bigger store.
I'd say it's pretty unusual. One place where they might go over a bit would be Black Friday. And, I'm not really sure if they kind of just turn a blind eye to that, like 1 day a year, not doing it every day, so it's fairly minimal risk anyway. I'm not sure how that is. How do you reckon they do that?
Yeah, I think they don't really pay attention to it maybe as much as they do every other day.
Right.
I think something else that's... I think this has actually been more recognized the last few years, but it's not only Thanksgiving on Thursday and Black Friday on Friday, but it's also Small Business Saturday occurs right afterwards. What are your thoughts about Small Business Saturday?
Small Business Saturday? Well, I usually play on a similar idea. It's a day of the week, and it's a sale, so similar marketing concept, and supporting small businesses. I think that's excellent because big box stores tend to make it difficult for different small businesses, and I'm certainly not going to challenge their ability to do so, but I think there's certainly a place for small businesses, and that's maybe even something that gets overlooked a bit on Black Friday, because you think about those big box stores. What store do you think of when you think Black Friday?
Oh, like Hobby Lobby.
Hobby Lobby, right?
Home Depot, Walmart. Target.
Right, see, and those are all what you call big box stores. Those are all
Yes.
considerable sized chains. So that's not to say that small businesses can't or
Yeah.
don't do Black Friday sales.
In the past, maybe
But-
Sears, but
Right,
unfortunately.
but it makes sense to have a dedicated uh, small business Saturday, especially, as opposed to, of course you could say, oh, we want to do more small business on Black Friday, but I don't know how effective that would be because Black Friday's already been established, and then that's what people think of. They go to, say, a big box store, like you mentioned, the television set, like go to a Best Buy or something.
It
Big
would
Black Friday
over-
sale there.
Yeah, small business Saturday, or if they did it on Friday, it would be overlooked if it was on Friday.
Right.
I think it's drawn a lot of awareness this year in particular in the state of North Carolina, though, because a lot of these small businesses were highly affected by Hurricane Helene.
Right.
So I've heard that they're going to bring a lot of awareness to that this year. So
Well,
I think,
hope that helps.
yes, and I think Small Business Saturday will gain more attention than it ever has in the past this year.
Right.
Have any knowledge?
Especially in those areas.
Yeah, have any knowledge on if they do, I guess you could call it online Small Business Saturday? Like, do the small businesses, is everything in person, or does that also go online?
I don't know that they have a coordinated one. Maybe they do like the
Individual.
regular small business Saturday and do some online sales along with that. But I don't think it's terribly common. I certainly haven't heard of it.
Yes, I haven't heard of it. I don't think it's super common, but I'm sure that certain small businesses are certainly behind that. So,
Absolutely. That would be interesting to look into.
all right.
Anything else we have?
No, and I just want to go ahead and say, have a great Thanksgiving, everybody, and we'll see everybody next week with our new episode into the month of December. And on the next episode, we will be covering the history of a lake that is within our town. So we'll be
That's
talking
right.
about that.
So it'll be a great one. Keep an eye out for that. But again, thanks for tuning in. Until next time.
I'm Jacob Fulmer.
And I'm Isaac Hedges, host of the Great World Podcast. From all of us at the Great World Podcast and GWP International, happy Thanksgiving, good night, and God bless.